My name is Hanifa Shabazz. I'm the president of Wilmington City Council and the champion of the Wilmington Community Advisory Council. And I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming out this evening to our first community mixer. And your attendance today is a testament of our commitment, and our work that you were here today is a testament of our commitment to prevent youth violence and to promote positive youth development. The operative word of our council's name is community. Engagement of community and youth was an integral component of developing the initial council recommendations, and it continues to be the principle grounded in our work as we work with community, state partners to implement projects in alignment with these recommendations. Tonight's event is another example of our commitment to community, as we will see firsthand and hear about the power of partnerships in the efforts taking place in our community each day that lead us closer to actuating the goal of developing a city where all youth feel connected, respected, and protected. Tonight we will hear from a community leader, Richard Raw, okay, and the Advisory Council co-chairs, Mr. Ray Fitzgerald and Mr. Tyrone Jones, which they will release the council's first annual report. As well, we have the honor to engage with Mr. Vincent Thomas, who will facilitate a dialogue on how we all can be involved in preventing youth violence and promoting positive youth development in our city. Before I move on, I would like to recognize some dignitaries that are here with us. We have our own Mayor, Mr. Mike Bazicki, who's with us. We also have members of City Council, Mr. Cyril Adams. We also have Councilman Namdi Chiwocha. I'd like to have a moment. Mayor, would you like to give us a few words?
Unaccustomed as I am to speaking in front of a group, thank you very much, Hanifa. It's good to get up here and see so many friends, all of whom have been as committed as they are to the process of strengthening our communities and doing it in such an intelligent way. I don't know how many times I've been asked to speak about our city and its problems, and there were people talking about crime and what are you going to do about it, and they talk about it as if it's a public safety issue, and I repeat what I've said repeatedly, and that is that if you treat crime as a problem, you'll never solve it. If you treat it as a symptom of a problem, you have a chance. And I think what people in this room are doing is coming together with the idea that we have to build a community, get all the wraparound services together, right? All these services coming together to be deployed in a way that it's effective and it means something in the lives of our kids. I say all the time that the only measure of success for my administration will be the increase in the human capital in our neighborhoods and the smiles on the faces of young people instead of seeing these kids go through the torment of being stuck in the system. You know, I think a more generous heart, reaching out and putting our arms around kids instead of smacking them because they've been smacked enough. And that's how I feel. And you know, my wife said to me, and she goes, you know, you're getting very liberal. I said, yeah, I know. And I said, that's who I am. And that's how I feel. You know, when you've had a life like mine, I mean, just perfect 10. I didn't get anything wrong. We had money and not too much. You know, I had an imperfect father who loved me. Every night gave me a kiss, you know, when I went to bed. That's a big deal. You know, and so, you know, I take a look at my life, and so when people say, oh, you've been a great success, well, maybe, but I've been awfully lucky. And, you know, I always say, all kids fall, but every child doesn't have someone to catch them. And I just know that that's what we have to do. So, look, it's about strengthening our communities and helping our neighbors, and that's what we want to do. And Hanifa, thank you so much for everything you're doing and keeping us concentrating on the right thing and the right strategy. So God bless all of you. Enjoy the
over to our co-chairs, I just would like to publicly thank again the members of the Wilmington Community Advisory Council. Your commitment in coming together over the past 2 years to do this work is astounding. That you believed in what the mission was. It wasn't just because I started with the effort. I was just an instrument to get the ball rolling. We're where we are today because of all of your work. There's no way they could have been done without you. And I just wanted to publicly thank each and every one of you for everything you've done. And I know that you, the community, will be grateful for this work as you hear the details of our success over our time working together through our annual report. With that, I'd like to turn it over to one of our co-chairs, Mr. Tyrone Jones.
Let's give our president of City Council a hand because she has kept this issue in the forefront, even though years and years have been devoted to trying to address the issue of violence within our city. We believe that the strategy that we put forth is a very inclusive and collective one that looks at every element of change that needs to take place within our city. How many of you love the city of Wilmington? We should be doing a little bit more celebrating when we say we love something. And I say that because to love something means that you're willing to give of yourself without seeing yourself and devoting your time and energy to making it happen. And that's what members of the Community Advisory Council have done over the last 2 years when we were convened and asked to engage in dialogue that oftentimes required us to give of a lot of time, not for any show, but for the purpose of developing action strategies that can actually engage and move the needle as it relates to the number of individuals who would either be victimized or be offenders of violence. So it's key for us to continue that dialogue by way of having this forum and other forums similar to it. And again, it can't be done just in terms of conversation, and what you'll hear from my colleague, Ray Fitzgerald, is the collective work that has actually been done over time to make this happen. So as you listen not for what was done, listen for what else needs to be done, and then how can you play a key role in making it happen. There's a person in this room who I also want to recognize who started a lot of this work with the CDC and so forth, and that is Rita Landgraf. Rita is the former chair of the Department of Health and Social Services, and her along with the champion that we have in Hanifa Shabazz really made sure that we convened the right people, but the right people who are willing to put forth the time and energy to make things happen. And I'll say this as I take my seat. Last week, I buried my mother. And I say that not because, I'm asking, yes, I want prayer. I need prayer. But I'm reading some of her writings. And what she shared with us as we were growing up was, life is what you make it. Life is what you make it. And what we're doing today is a manifestation of the commitment of many who are in this room who have committed their life to making the city of Wilmington the place we love, we raise our children, we work, and we enjoy whenever time God has called us to leave. So I encourage you, don't listen just for the sake of listening for what was accomplished, but what can be accomplished because you're going to make it happen. Yes. Thank you. Ray?
I believe it's still the afternoon, so good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
My name is Ray Fitzgerald, and along with being the co-chair of the Wilmington Community Advisory Council, I'm also the director of the Delaware Division of Social Services. And we are a division within the Department of Health and Social Services. And Rita was my boss before she moved on to greener pastures. And one of the things that I think is that people keep talking about is the community engagement piece and the partnership piece. And I think the council's One of the things that the council was able to achieve over the last year, I think is the most important part of what we do, is we're able to bring groups together who want to do good and link the community with the state entity or the city entity or a private organization to get things done. And give you a briefing before I get into the report, because it kind of will be out of place if I talk about it later. Wednesday was a snow day for the state. I'm assuming it was a snow day for the city. And we got an email in the afternoon from someone that works for the mayor who said that, you know, we had a family in crisis. So they asked what we could do to help, and I immediately made contact with folks that we only had a connection with because the Wilmington Community Advisory Council existed. And in the afternoon, now, before the Wilmington Community Advisory Council existed, we probably would have been able to help the individual. Probably took a lot longer. In the afternoon, we had a commitment from an organization to work with the person to help them get a job. They made a commitment. They said, I'll get them a job next week. We had a housing issue worked out, and there was a conflict that the person had that created this situation that we were able to work with them to help resolve. And we did that in the afternoon on a snow day when people weren't at work. So I say that to just make people aware that, you know, yeah, we're working on a lot of big initiatives that the CDC recommended that we put in place. But the best part, I think, of what we're doing is we're bringing the community and all the stakeholders together to work and fix problems together instead of doing everything in silos. So I think that's the biggest thing that we're going to be able to expand on, I think, going forward. So the goal of the Wilmington Community Advisory Council is to prevent youth violence and to promote positive youth development. Okay, we do that through public messaging, oversight, stewardship, technical assistance, and identifying and reviewing structural barriers to create recommendations for policy changes, and develop and advocate for legislative agendas that put children and youth first. We're over 30 members, public, nonprofit, and community organizations. And some of the things we learned and some of the accomplishments over the last year are that we learned that 95% of 8th graders surveyed in Delaware believe they have a connection to a caring adult, which gives them a lot of support and encouragement, which means that sets the foundation for us to be able to support that child either directly or through that caring adult. We served over 2,900 young people in our extended hours safe haven programs. We developed summer employment opportunities for 450 young people. We have a division, the Department of Health and Social Services has a community partner support unit, and their job is to go out and create community partnerships and linkages, and that didn't exist before we started working with the Wilmington Community Advisory Council. And through our partnerships with the libraries, we're able to help 75 patrons receive the services they need, and we helped 22 people get jobs at United Parcel Service during the seasonal hiring during the Christmas season. And we also helped 4,300 Delaware educators get trained in Compassionate School Learning Collaborative and Connections. The alignment with the CDC recommendations are we want to foster violence-free environments, intervene at the first sign of risk, promote community resiliency, address policy concerns, and integrate services. There's interagency data sharing that is a huge project, and that requires lots of MOUs or contracts between different agencies to share data. We have to get lawyers involved, get approval from our federal agencies throughout state government, and that's a very heavy lift, something that we don't generally do, and state government that is. And we also have a capacity building grant, technical assistance grant through the University of Pennsylvania, and they're going to help us work our way through those issues. But again, we're not standing pat. We talked about some of the things we're doing. And some of the things we're doing that I haven't mentioned already is the one-stop services where we're developing. Right now, there's for young people that are transitioning out of the juvenile criminal justice system. Once they finish their term or once they age out, the services that were helping stabilize them are no longer available. So we're developing a process to help keep them, keep providing services to them to help the chance that they're going to continue that success. Going to help them with employment and whatever other services that they need. Christina Hospital has an initiative in there, and they're developing an initiative. They hope to roll out in 2018 with collaboration between the hospital, state government, and community organizations where we can provide services to people who come in and who are victims of violence to make sure that whatever the conditions were, we try to address those conditions to make sure that they are not victims of violence again, as well as fill some of the gaps that are affecting them, affecting their families, to make sure again that they don't encounter this kind of negative situation again. And again, that's supposed to be, we're supposed to try that. That's going to be put in place in 2018. We have a number of collaborations between state agencies and community organizations where we're developing youth employment programs to community centers as well, developing youth employment programs to help youth continue to involve themselves in positive activities and have some money to support themselves a little better. I talked about the Community Partner Support Unit. They go out and they help develop resources and relationships in the community to make our services more effective and more comprehensive so that we're not missing things with folks. The governor reinstituted the Family Services Cabinet Council, which is made up of secretaries and other folks, designees from his cabinet. And they're partnering with the Wilmington Community Advisory Council to help make sure that our services we're offering and things we're doing are comprehensive and coordinated. Have a community intervention team, and this team is developing a model to put violence interrupters in the communities. We talked about, the CDC talked about addressing violence at the risk at the first sign, when it first reveals itself, and not waiting until we're responding to an incident, but be proactive. That's what that group is going to do. And the Wilmington Community Advisory Council is going to be launching a website in January. We launched the website in January 2018 so we can enhance communication, we can talk about our process, our progress, and our success stories, and share positive youth development resources. So I'm going to pause for a minute, and I'm going to give Alicia Drew an opportunity to talk about P.O.W.E.R.
Just very quickly, I want to share that the Advisory Council has launched a new campaign called P.O.W.E.R, People and Organizations in Wilmington Engaging in Reform. Everyone should have a brochure on their seats, and it's really our call to action for you all to join us in the efforts that we're doing to reduce youth violence and promote positive youth development. We want to celebrate the work that you all are already doing and identify ways that we can really operate collectively and have this more powerful collective impact. So our hope is that you'll check out your brochures, get onto the website, and sign up to be a P.O.W.E.R partner, which you can do online, and you can come talk to me, and my colleague Erin Hutt will be over here at the P.O.W.E.R table afterwards. Thank you.
We're closing this section, right? Okay, so real quick, if I can, the initiatives that my colleague Ray alluded to, many of those programs and so forth already existed in many of our communities, but they weren't connected. They weren't connected to the right people who need the service. So the significance of the work that's being done is about connecting the dots to those who need. The interagency data sharing agreement is vital to our efforts in order to make sure that we can identify the who in order to get to the what they need in order to prevent what may come if they don't get what they need. Understand me? So it's connecting the dots. So I really want to say, and thank you to my colleague Ray, because he really brought to the table that energy to say, okay, what more can we do? What more can we do? And that includes other people in this room as well, Ray, Jones Avery, and others, and I'm like trying to blank on everybody else, so apologize for me not being able to recognize you. But Gwen Angelette and Alicia and others, because they're focusing on how do we maximize every dollar that's in the city of Wilmington, every service that's in the city of Wilmington in order for us to make sure that we're meeting the needs of those who need it the most and trying to connect early. So you can help with that by being able to identify early the who in order for us to connect, in order for us to prevent, in order for to make our city the place we all love. Thank you.
For those of you that I haven't had an opportunity to speak to individually, take this over here. Welcome to the Christina Cultural Arts Center. Welcome. We are just delighted to have you here with us. I've spoken with a number of people that are visiting us for the first time. Raise your hand. Please come back again, and a special welcome to you, and for those of you that have supported this institution for 72 years, we thank you. I want to recognize Carl Lafayette. So Christina Cultural Arts Center's mission is to make absolutely certain that everyone has the opportunity for creative expression. And we do that in a lot of ways. We have 3- and 4-year-olds every day, all day long in a 5-star preschool program. And we have after-school programs, and I'm not going to go through all of our programs, so we have the information for you. I just want to make sure that you feel welcome and that you will come and bring others with you. I introduced Bryce Ralston, who was a student here at Christina that played for us earlier. And so my life is really a living testimony of the power of the arts. The power of the arts to bond, the power of the arts to heal. And I spent a lot of time during my teenage years on lockup. You don't know what they call it. You used to call it in old days punishment. And so music and literature were great, great friends of mine. So this evening, are we in evening time yet? This evening, it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Vincent Thomas. Vincent Thomas is a member of our extended arts family. He is internationally renowned. He is a professor at Towson State University. He's a choreographer, a dancer, an educator. He is a humanitarian. He created, along with some other collaborators, a seminal new work with Dance Place DC called What's Going On. Now, where's that title taken from? Who's the composer for that?
Marvin Gaye.
Marvin Gaye. I got some old people in here today. Marvin Gaye. But guess what? We interacted with over probably close to 150 young people today at Brandywine High School and at Columba Academy. Vincent and his colleague, Mama Sylvia, and they knew who Marvin Gaye was. Okay. Hopefully it's because the teachers prepared them. And so the work, What's Going On, when Marvin Gaye spent many years writing that suite of music, and Barry Gordy wouldn't release it. Did y'all know that? Yeah. Would not release it because it wasn't party music and it wasn't baby making music. So he refused to release the music because he was talking about the conditions of our time, and those conditions are still relevant today. And so with Marvin Gaye, he refused to perform and to produce any more music for Motown. And guess what Barry Gordy did? Released it, and it was the biggest hit that Motown had. And so that music, again, is the foundation for the piece What's Going On, and it's going to be performed here on April the 21st at Tatman. And so, so since y'all know what's going on, what's the first passage say? Mother, mother, there's far too many of you doing what? The mothers is crying, right? Brother, 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 there's far too many of you dying. you know we gotta find a way to bring some what?
Love.
Some love. Love is underrated. And we can be taught to hate, we can be taught to love. Absolutely. So I want to bring to the podium Vincent E. Thomas. He's going to engage you all in an experience. It's going to be a short one. Relax, y'all, a little tight. Relax, relax. Come on, Vincent. Give him a round of applause as he comes.
Greetings.
Greetings.
How y'all doing?
Well.
Yes, yes, yes. It is so good to be back in Wilmington again. I've been here many times. I think the first time was when Urban Bushwoman was here years ago. And after a long day of interacting with young people, high school, middle school, elementary school, I am so encouraged and I am so concerned about the future minds and hearts of Wilmington. We did workshops at Brandywine High School and P.O.W.E.R Academy Charter School, and the young people are amazing and have a lot on their minds. It is our job to listen and then act. To listen and then act. So before I continue, I want to just ask you this. You know, I see that the operative word of this council is what? Community. You can say it loud. Community. Say it louder. Community. And proud. Again? Community. Community. So as I was reading that and reading a lot about the council, I started to think, now, what is the action word of the council? So if the operative word is community, what is your action? So I brought you a gift, if I may give that to you now. So here is your gift, and Alicia's gonna pass it out. And the gift asks this question. In what dark spaces do you activate positive light in your community? In what dark spaces do you activate positive light in your community? Now consider your role in your workplace, the title you hold, your active role in your family, in your community, and your city and state. What are the physical actions you do that activate positive light? I'm really curious about, I see a lot of people over the age of 20 in here, right? And so you're wanting to help young people with gun violence, yeah? And so my question was, where are the young people? And wouldn't it be interesting if on this council, there were the student body presidents from all of the high schools on this council? It's just an idea that I want to throw out there. Because once again, I'll say the young people have a lot on their minds. And we have to listen and then act. So what I would love you to do, because I know some of you are still a little nervous. You're not nervous? I love it. I believe in breath. I believe in breathing. So I would love for you to take 3 breaths with me. We're gonna inhale, and I'm gonna snap my finger. We might inhale for 4 counts and exhale for 4 counts. Is that clear? Yeah. Here we go. 5, 6, we're ready. Inhale through the nose. Exhale. Inhale for 4. Keep inhaling. Exhale. Inhale again. Now as you exhale, open the mouth and let it out. And so what I would love you to do now, really quickly, is to turn to the person to your right or left, and I want you to just think about this question. How do you activate positive light in your community, in your workplace? What are those actions? Clear? Yeah. You're just gonna have a brief conversation about what do you do to activate positive light. All right, and go. Right now, it would be great if you bring your conversation to a close, just for right now. But you know what I love? I love you're still so into your conversations, and that's a great thing. I don't want to discourage that, but just because time is still rolling. But you're going to have time after this to get back with the person you're talking with and to continue that dialogue, because you have to. You have to continue that dialogue. So I would love to just share one thing with you. So I'm going to do an action. I want you to repeat it after me. I'm going to put this here. So, you know, when we think about light, can you all have your hands like this? Maybe this is the top of a candle. It might be that flame that sheds some light. And so what I would love you to do is to just raise that light all the way up. Come on, all the way up. Beautiful, all the way up. As far as you can. I'm gonna let my little light shine.
Yes.
And from here, allow that light to open and just let the flames and the light shine. Are we clear? That's it. Can you hold on to that?
Yes.
All right. So I was just talking to Mr. Ed Klinger, and he was telling me that his action is he would walk the neighborhood and he would get all of these interfaith communities to come together to go out into their communities. And I thought that was really powerful because he talked about the action. So I'm going to invite you to stand up with me. Come on, stand up. Here we go. So I'm going to take this. This is for Mr. Ed. And we're just going to walk together because it's a powerful thing when we walk together. Especially as I think about these high schoolers that are going to take over Washington, D.C. tomorrow. And Wilmington and Philadelphia. So we have to walk with them, right? We're going to take 4 walks. Here we go. And walk, 2, 3, 4. All right. Can you walk like you mean it though? 5, 6. Ready? Here we go. And walk. And then take one hand and just have one community here, or one interfaith community, and you have another one over here. Let's do 2 more, and 1 more here, and 1 more here, wherever you want them to go. And then from here, let's take those 2 hands and bring them together and let them go out into the community. Yes? It's all right. It's all right. All right, so here we go. Remain standing. We're going to take this dance again. We have 2 motions. Here we go. Starting here. This is our motion number 1. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let the light. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Walk it out. You have 1, 2, 3, 4. Your community. And they come together, go back into their community. Beautiful.
Nice.
Beautiful. Yes. Remain standing. We're not done yet. We still got a few more for this dance. Can I hear one more story, please, of what you talked about, what action you have from someone?
A health activist.
A what?
A health activist.
A health activist.
Yes.
And what is the action that you do?
Oh no, not me, her.
You talked to her, but what did she say? What did she say she did?
She works in community health, working with students at University of Delaware.
And?
We only have 30 seconds.
Okay. Can you shed more?
Yes.
And engaging those students in understanding the beauty of working in community.
I love it. I love it. I'm just going to take a little bit of what she did. She said, you can join me. She said, and engaging these individuals. And she said something about the beauty.
The beauty of working in community.
of working in community. I thought you said something about the brain or something. Okay, so you have this engaging with those youth at the university and showing them the beauty. All right, can we go back to the beginning of our dance? Here we go. And 5, 6, ready, here we go. You go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Your light. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Here we go. You have 1. Walk for 8 counts. You like to walk. 5, 6, 7, and 8. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now activate those minds. Activate those minds. There it is. And show the beauty. Beautiful. Can we take one more story? Come on, one more. Can I hear from a young man? Say it again. Say it again.
Educational advocacy.
And how do you do that?
Reading to little children and to grown men, helping them learn how to
Yes. Reading to little children and to grown men.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Let's have our book here. Open the book. Come on down to this middle or low level. Read to a little child. And take that book on up to...
Nice.
Now you know what this looks like, doesn't it? All right, here we go. Yes, here we go. 5 from the beginning. 5, 6, we're ready, here we go. You have 1, and a 2, and a 3, and a 4, and a 5, and a 6, and a 7, and 8. Let that light shine. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Walk it out. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Find those interfaith communities and bring them together. Activate those minds to show the beautiful world and then read to a little child and to an adult. Yeah? I'm going to leave you. We're going to sing because I know Miss Ray, she's a singer too. Yeah? I'm just touched by a song right now as we do this beautiful dance. Yeah? Because all of you have a light within you, and you've got to shine it so that these little kids, these youth, can see. I encourage you to bring some of those high schoolers in here on this council and listen to them. Let them help you, because then they can go back to their schools and talk to their councils and their student bodies about what is happening for them. So here we go. The song I'm thinking about is this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Walk it out. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. I know we forgot. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Read to a child again. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Beautiful. Thank you so very much. Thank you. So, honestly, I do leave you with the charge of 2 things. Well, 3 things. 1, really consider having some youth on your council. Right. I think it's an easy thing to do, and it will connect you and the work you do with what they really need so much deeper. And 2, continue your conversations and think about what action has to come out of that conversation. Because if you just stand around and talk all the time and sit and talk with your big business suit on, that's all it's going to be. But we have to get our hands dirty and get into some action. And then the third thing is to continue letting your light shine. Take this dance that we just created and go teach it to your neighbor. Teach it to your family. Teach it to your coworkers. It might stimulate and activate. I hope to see you April 21st at Tatnall School at 4 p.m. It is an amazing performance. Are we good? We're good. All right.
So of course, they sent me up here after all that. So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming out. My name is Erin Hutt. I work for the Community Support Unit, CPSU. I never say the words out, so CPSU. So we are been working with Ms. Hanifa and Dr. Gwen to put together, and the council to put together this official launch event. I have the honor and the pleasure of introducing one of our shining stars in the community, Mr. Richard Raw. He has an amazing program. He works with the youth here in Wilmington and the surrounding areas. I'm not going to give away his program because he's powerful, and I'm just here as an introducer. So, Mr. Richard Raw, come on up.
How's everybody doing?
All right.
Y'all gonna see me move in the spirit of hip hop because I was raised in hip hop culture. I was raised here in Wilmington, Delaware. I am a Wilmingtonian. I've been an artist for a long time. You know, hip hop has been my life. And when you think of hip hop, I want you to think of not the negative, but the positive aspects of hip hop. I always say hip hop is like fire. Fire can burn down a house, but it can be used also to cook food. So it depends on how you use it. And that's one of the things that I'm trying to get our youth to realize is that it's how we use the culture. The culture can be used as a way to exploit, but it also can be used as a way to build up. So 4 years ago, just working a job that I didn't enjoy and feeling like my spirit is just wasting away, I developed a program. And that program is called Beyond Those Bars. It is a hip-hop based supplemental education program where we focus on reading, writing, confidence, communication, character development, healthy eating. I know it sounds like a lot, like yeah, right. And we've also added in a STEM component. Now, with the program, our students matriculate through weeks of instruction. And in that time, of course, one of the highlights is I get to make a rap. I get to rap, I get to do a verse, I get to record in the studio, I get to do all of this, so they're all happy about that because everyone wants to be a star. But in order to get to that point, how do we get to that point? And that's where we introduce the reading. Let's look at your reading, let's look at your writing and your comprehension. And those are the things that we do in the program. So when they first come into the program, as they matriculate throughout these weeks, we find a topic. This is guided conversation. So you should hear some of them when they're choosing their topic, whether it's poverty. It has to be based on societal issues, whether that's poverty or violence or sexual exploitation. These are kinds of topics that they're talking about, and they debate. They pick the topic. Once they pick the topic, then we move on, and now we research and investigate that topic. So now we're researching, we're trying to find out if we're talking about poverty, let's talk about the rate of poverty here in Wilmington and how that is having an impact on their lives. Once we figure that out, now we research and investigate in our community. Our students go out into the community and they interview people in the community and bring that information back. All of that is what they're going to use, in essence, to write their music. See, I think one of the problems that we have is when you write music, I think it's good to investigate, right? To look out into your community so you can have the information. Oftentimes, the complaint is these artists don't know, I don't know what they're saying, I can't understand it, it's crazy. And I said, well, how can we change that? Because it's easy to just say, that's BS and we don't like it. But how can we change that reality? And I figured this program can change that reality, and now we're starting to see the change happening in our students who now want to research, they want to investigate. They're like, yeah, I need to understand that. If you argue with me about LeBron James versus Michael Jordan, then we're gonna have to do some investigation. So if you use what they enjoy and what they love, then you'll see that we can actually give them the education they need. They love hip hop. They go to school and sleep and wake up and get their morals and principles and values based on the culture. So if we can use that culture, right, to educate them, then we can actually get through. And we're starting now just to get through to our students. So as they matriculate and they start writing their verses, we're looking at their verses, we're looking at this work, and we're saying you have some issues with comprehension, or you have some issues with spelling. It gives us an opportunity to assess. And what those assessments can be taken to their parents and can be taken to their teachers, and we can work on how we can enhance and make them better. Now, they move on from writing their verses. They done write all these verses. They're happy, they're excited, but we make them rewrite those verses and rewrite those verses, because that's what this is all about. These are life skills. And when you're writing your resume, you're like, oh, hold on, let me go back, let me change this, let me think about this. It's not just write it out and just go and do it. It's like, let's really think about this. Maybe that was wrong. Maybe that's not the best thing to say. So these are the kinds of things that we're giving our students. Then they go and record. We have a mobile recording studio, and they record each other. We teach them the programs, right? So it's a lot with it. We're teaching them how to use these programs. This right here, this microphone, and the way that this is set up, this may be something of interest to them. So we're giving them the introduction into these things, right? So as they record each other, we're teaching them the equipment, right? So they're getting the education and learning how to work collectively. I think that's one of the things that you see, the bickering of our elders, right? Let's be honest about this. A lot of bickering. And I said, how can we teach this generation and teach them, you have to work collectively. Because if you are not working collectively and with the network, then you're going to be, no man is an island. No man stands alone, or woman. We can't stand alone. So we're trying to teach them how to work collectively and how not to laugh at someone because they continue to make a mistake. That's the beauty of recording. See, when you record and get on that mic for the first time, you're going to mess up. And so some of the students are laughing, and so that's a great opportunity to say, no, encourage instead of laughing and making fun of them. So they're recording their verses. Beautiful. And then they do a pilot for a music video. They shoot a professional music video. The videographer that we bring in has worked with Justin Bieber and worked with many of these greats. So we're giving them great things. We're giving them quality. I feel like if you give them quality, they're going to give you quality. It may take some time, because no doubt it takes some time. And when we get through halfway through this program, they're like, I want to go there. I'm having fun. I like this. And so the end is a community engagement piece where they get an opportunity to perform their work for the community. So this is the program that we have. I work for a nonprofit organization called Culture Restoration Project. I am the program director. This is just one of the programs that I run Beyond Those Bars. I'm the facilitator and creator of this program. We have two other programs. One is a chess program, right noodle, left noodle, and that teaches math skills and life development. And then we have another, which is new, which is KOS, called Knowledge of Self. Knowledge of Self takes the African principles of Ma'at, Ubuntu, and Iwa Pele. These are about developing your character. Our ancients, our ancestors had the answers, and somewhere along the way, we walked away from those concepts. So I figure we have to bring these concepts and then put them in hip hop and then watch the changes that are going to be made. So we know that we're trying to breed a new generation of writers, right? The writings in which you're going to see, they're going to play just one of the projects, the final projects that we did from our students. Amazing, amazing work, and this is what they wrote. And we push them. Oftentimes they get on that mic and they cry because they feel like they can't do it. We have to encourage and encourage. I'm like, no, you can do it. I know you can do it. You are just as good as those big artists that you love. You are. And oftentimes they cry and they go into their corners and I don't want to do it. And eventually we get them into a space where they feel comfortable. So our youth are geniuses, right? They are geniuses. But we have to know how to tap into them. we have to know how to tap into it. So I can't take up too much time because as we speak, I have a program running right now that I have to get to. But another thing that we have in the program real quick, we have a partnership with Drop Squad Kitchen on the riverfront, and they focus on plant-based foods. We recognize that we live in swamps, food swamps and food deserts, where the foods that they love are dangerous. Let's be honest, and the foods that we love are dangerous. You expect them to come into a class and pay attention when they've eaten a bunch of junk. Sugar, a sugar rush and a sugar high, or fat content. So we're trying to introduce a different type of food, plant-based. Usually, when you introduce it to a child, they're like, whatever. But in their peer group, they're like, okay, I'm gonna try it because you tried it. Let me see what's up with this. And they eat it, and they're enjoying it. So now we get an opportunity to move to a holistic way of education, not just one way, but we're trying to wrap our arms around them in many kinds of ways. Another great thing that we do with our program, we have interns, of course, but we hire high schoolers to come in and work with them as well. Because we feel like, now I have a high schooler, his name is Anthony Townsend, incredible music producer. And we've hired him to come in to make music and to work with our young generation. And so we see, I like to work with the young generation like between 8 and 14 years of age. Because I know after that is where they get on that path, where they go and smoke weed, they go and try to terrorize the neighborhood. This is what they do. Lucky for me, I'm like, look, I know you probably one of the ones that's probably terrorizing my neighborhood, trying to break into my car, yo. So that's the population I like to work with, but I also like to bring in the high schoolers. So we're trying to do a multi-generational thing, right? To have, because it can't be one generation preaching to them. I figure if the high school, I say go to the high school and say, yo, man, tell them this. They're gonna listen to you, right? So I think that this is a beautiful thing. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak with you today. I'm just excited about doing the work for the community. If you know me, this is what I do all day. We have about 5 programs running right now with 4 more proposals on the table. So we're very thankful that people are enjoying the program and want it. I cannot stay, as I said, so I do have cards. I can pass you my card if you're interested in talking. I'm all about partnerships because I can't do it alone. So I know all of their links all out there that we can work together collectively to solve the issues and the problems of Wilmington. We can't do it alone. I continue to say that. You can't do it alone. I can't do it alone. So if you're not willing to come together and work collectively, then the door is there. That's how we have to move. We have to do it together. And that's what we're going to teach the youth, and we have to be the representation of that. Thank you very much. She'll have my cards.
Respect me, I respect you. That's something that you earn. That's something that you do. Respect me, I respect you. That's something that you earn. That's something that you do. Respect me, I respect you. That's something that you earn. That's something that you do.
Life is precious, so you need to respect it. Life is all we got, so we gotta protect it, embrace it, and let it shine. Don't wait till tomorrow, cause this is the time when respect will be shown within these rhymes. If you disrespect something, karma gonna get you. Disrespect a lot and the world will forget you, and they ain't gonna miss it. Respect and honor, that's my life. Disrespect plus you, that equals pain and strife. Respect everyone is what you need to do. Don't try and be somebody else, just do you.
Life is precious. You gotta respect it. You can't expect it. I respect my mom. I do. At all times. Y'all know I can rhyme. They call me Prime, but my nickname is Young Brian. Respect me, please. I'm just so fresh. And I love. And it's in my blood.
Yo, you gotta respect pride. Every time I disrespect her, hit it ain't high. Listen to these rhymes, don't run out of time. People hating on me and I don't know why. People disrespect us, think that there's another way. Understand I never care what the haters say. When it comes to respect, I never run away. Respect comes first, like always. I can't give in, won't fall out. People disrespect rap just really make me wanna shout. I respect everybody with no doubt. That's pride.
Respect me, I respect you. That's something that you earn. That's something that you do. Respect me, I respect you. That's something that you earn. That's something that you do. Respect me, I respect you. That's something that you earn. That's something that you do.
Without respect, my life would be so meaningless. I respect my cuz. So respect my blood. You talk that talk, but you can't walk that walk. All I need is some RESPECT. Respect. You can shake my hand if you're cool with me. You can hate me, but love is king. Open up that door and just be free. I am free. So let's agree.
I don't tolerate disrespect. I'm coming at your neck. If you got some beef, don't come up to me, cause all I want is peace. Like my homie Keith, hanging in the 302, rolling with my crew. Who is you to be disrespectful? All you gotta do respect me, I respect you.
Respect me, I respect you. That's something that you earn. That's something that you do. Respect me, I respect you. That's something that you earn. That's something that you do. Respect me, I respect you. That's something that you earn. That's something that you do.
Well, again, thank you everyone for coming out this evening. I hope that you all have a copy of our annual report so you can read it intensively. You can see the many accomplishments that we have been able to achieve. You can imagine that the work to be able to bring and make a change in the lives of our young people, there are a lot of things that need to be adjusted and changed. You can see the intimate and intricate work that all of the partners and members of the Women's Community Advisory Council has done. And the major thing they have done is that we're closing the net. We're closing the net of support services that our children are falling through. And we need more people to help to close that net. So we hope that you go to our website, Women's Community Advisory Council.org, and become a member of P.O.W.E.R. People and organizations of Wilmington engaging in reform, because that's what each one of us are doing in our own individual way. We're working toward a better community for our children, to provide support services, to provide youth-positive programming, to address the trauma that they're experiencing, and to reverse the negative environment that they're being exposed to one that they can feel protected, connected, and respected. I did like to thank Ms. Ray Avery always, who, when you ask her to participate, she always finds a way. In Christine Cultural Arts Center, which is more than a cultural arts center, it's a community center, it's a cultural center, it does all those things, right? I just want to personally thank you, because you've never told me no. You've never told me no. And also Mr. Vincent Thomas today, I think he gave all of us a song to sing in our hearts and some action to do. Yes. When we're feeling a certain kind of way, how do we express and let our light shine? I also would like to acknowledge and thank some of the restaurants here in downtown Wilmington that donated the food, the Miles, and Dragon Cuisine, as well as the new restaurant, Farmers and the Cow. That they contributed food tonight, so we want to make sure we go past there and thank them for their contributions. Because it's that kind of effort that's necessary. All of us in our own individual walks of life have to participate some kind of way to address what's happening with our children, because we as adults, it's our responsibility. I also like to thank my co-chairs, Mr. Ray Fitzgerald, Ty Jones, who are new to their role, but they've stepped in and taken charge, and I just want to thank you, as well as all of the other members of the Wilmington Community Advisory Council. Will you please stand and be recognized? Fellow other council. And there's many more of us. But then I want to say a special thank you to Rita, because we've been at this for a long, I just had to, Rita, a long time. And she did it in her role as the state, and she still is right there with us every step of the way, Rita. And so we started this in your office, and we're gonna see it all the way through to all of our children are healed from the trauma that they experienced. And I know that you're gonna be right there along with me. Another special thank you to the state's Community Partner Support Unit for becoming the backbone of the Advisory Council's community engagement efforts and their assistance in planning tonight's mixer. Aaron and Alicia, I don't know what we would do without you, so thank you very much. Please visit our website. You can see the rest of the work that we are doing and the work of our partners. So to be sure to visit our website, the information is on our brochure and on our annual report, as well as you can follow us on the Power campaign on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Because we all together generate what's necessary, the power to address this issue. And I know that we, Wilmington, can do this. And we'll be an example for the entire nation because the nation is watching how we address this issue. So I encourage you all for coming out this evening. Thank you all for coming this evening. I encourage you all to sign up for the Power, become a Power partner. The more of you, the stronger that we are. And finally, I want to thank all of you who chose to spend this Friday evening with us. It's going to take this entire village to create a city where our children feel connected, respected, and protected. And I'm counting on each of you. They're counting on each of you. And we look forward to continue to working together and to be working on behalf of our children. Please enjoy the rest of the evening. There's lots of food, so everyone please enjoy yourself. And I look forward to you of making the power that's necessary to save our children. Thank you.
Amen.